The Chicago White Sox are at 500 and only 3 games back in the AL Central as we enter the All-Star break. The Sox pounded on the Minnesota Twins on Sunday and took 3 of 4 from their division rival. Dylan Cease was one of the best pitchers in the American League, but apparently still not worthy to make the trip to Hollywood. Andrew Vaughn continued to impress, and he got a lot of help all weekend long.
You are Locked On White Sox, your daily Chicago White Sox podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, Sox fans, welcome to Locked On White Sox. Thank you for making Locked On White Sox your first listen each and every day. We're free and available on all platforms. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Locked On Sox. Also, subscribe to our YouTube channel. Just search Locked On White Sox. Today's episode is brought to you by Blue Nile. Make your moments sparkle with jewelry from BlueNile.com. And going on now is the Blue Nile anniversary sale. Save up to 40% off on classic fine jewelry pieces and 25% on engagement ring settings. Shop stress-free and find your forever piece. Go to BlueNile.com today. Hey, I'm your host, Nick Morawski, a lifelong die-hard Chicago White Sox fan, recording this podcast just blocks from the ballpark in beautiful Bridgeport. You can find me on Twitter at Nick_GGTB. Really appreciate you letting me steal some of your time to talk White Sox. Locked On White Sox is part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. How great was Dylan Cease? He has been outstanding over the last few weeks. Wait until you hear some of his numbers. Sox exploded for 32 runs in the 4-game series with the Twins and head into the All-Star break on a positive note. I am very happy to be joined by my co-host from the weekly Chicago White Sox podcast, Good Guys Talk Back, a dear friend of mine, an awesome resource to talk White Sox with, Mr. Pat Hester. Hello, sir.
Nick, it's great to join you today. What a way to end the unofficial first half of the baseball season. We're back to where we started at 500, and now it's time to really kick it in gear. We've got some things to build on. 32 runs over the 4 games in Minnesota, a 5-3 record on the entire road trip. A lot of positives right now, Nick. If we could just get, as we've talked about, the entire lineup playing at the same time for a consistent period, we could have something in our hands, and it's exciting, and it's a good spot to be in.
So I agree with all of that. I mean, 46 and 46, 3 games back. When the Sox lost the first 2 of this very important week that was 8 games and 7 days, they lost the first 2 games to Cleveland Guardians. I just wouldn't have expected 3 out of 4 in Minnesota. I had mentioned on a Good Guys Talk Back podcast when you and I were talking about what this team needed to do in that 8-game stretch. I had mentioned maybe 5-3 would be good, and here we go. The Sox went 5-3 in that stretch. Are you all the way back on this team, or did you need a sweep of the Twins?
No, well, I'm always on the roller coaster, Nick. I mean, I think I've thrown up a couple times in my saddlebags. It's been a wild ride so far through the first half, but looking at where they're at, a lot of other teams in other divisions would be completely buried right now. Let's be honest with ourselves. They'd have no shot if we were in the East. We'd have very little to no shot of winning that division. And, we're just fortunate to be in the division we are. Now it's time to really prove the talented ball club we are. And I'm back. 3 games out is not insurmountable, even though we're still trying to leapfrog 2 teams. It's, we're in the catbird seat, as Hawk used to say, Nick, and now it's time to strike while the iron's hot, while you've got some momentum. Great opportunity to get some guys some rest and heal up some of those wounds that we've experienced over the first half. And, really make a push here. And this is what it's all about. Now you got meaningful baseball pretty much from now until the end of the year for the most part.
Yeah, the Sox will see Cleveland right after the break. We've got more games throughout the AL Central. I mean, we're just mid-July, but it feels like this week that was, 8 games in 7 days, and they were intense games. We had to have a lot of them. A lot of them were must win. I mean, you had to get out of Cleveland splitting that series. And playing in Minnesota has always been difficult. And to start the series, beating them 12-2, and then ending pounding them 11-0, only allowing one hit. We allowed one hit. It's emotional toll. Normally I would say when they're on this high here, keep it rolling. Man,
Mm-hmm.
it's too bad that there's a break right now, but it's kind of nice to have this break, I guess. And especially with what's going on with Luis Robert, when you hear that he's got a doctor's visit, and we don't know what is going on, I don't think anybody knows. We just
Mm-hmm.
know, hearing reports that he's going to see a specialist here on Monday rather than just do some standard tests. That has me worried. I would say it worries all Sox fans.
Yeah, for sure. And, I'd like to think that it's hopefully something that can be corrected and figured out. First thing that comes to my mind is it a vertigo situation? Is it an inner ear infection? Because anything that's going inside your ears like that can be, you know, it can throw off a lot of things and give you a lot of discomfort, not just some. And we think back to recently, Nick, and we've talked about it a little bit, just in conversations about, some odd routes that he's taken to the ball, some things that have been hit to him that normally would be no issue. It just doesn't seem like he's been able to pick up the ball right. So maybe it's something going on up there. Hopefully it's nothing all that serious. And this break comes at a good time for him because, he was starting to really, really mash, and it didn't seem to affect him too much at the plate. It was more or less, in the field, to me anyway.
Yeah, there have been some odd stuff going on in center field over the last week or so. Some baseballs that maybe should have been caught. It looked like he's a bit in a fog out there at times.
Hmm.
So very curious to see what's going on. Hopefully, it's not too serious. Sox, they won on Friday after they pounded the Twins 12-2. They won on Friday 6-2, and that was the game that Robert was removed from. Lost the Lance Lynn game on Saturday, and of course ended the series with 11-0. You would think that winning will create some positive vibes in the clubhouse. They leave and disperse for the All-Star break. Probably feeling really good about themselves. There was a report that came out, I believe on Friday, that White Sox closer Liam Hendricks kind of hinted, and I believe it was on the Waddle and Sylvie show, that possibly Dallas Keuchel was the one leaking all of these rumors about clubhouse issues. What do you make of that?
I'm not shocked. I mean, as soon as Dallas Keuchel joined the club, he seemed to have he had an attitude about him, but we kind of liked it. It was like, hey, this is a team that had a culture of losing. I come from a culture of winning. I want to bring that to this club, and he inserted himself right away as a leader. But he also would do things out on the field where it seemed like he was visibly upset with players behind him. We don't obviously have the greatest defense in the world, Nick. That's not breaking news, but there were several times when he would give the business to players like right there on the field if there was a bad play made behind him. So, it doesn't surprise me. He just seemed like kind of a red rear-ended type of guy, and that's fine. That'll play when your skills are good, like he was in 2020 when he had I can't remember what his ERA was off the top of my head, but you felt very comfortable with Dallas Keuchel starting. It was rare vintage form Dallas Keuchel, just hitting it, pitching to contact, getting guys out, and being able to go long into games. And then as his talent started to erode, that kind of stuff doesn't play anymore when you're not performing on the field. and he can seemingly be like somewhat of a cancer in the clubhouse. So, and from what I understand, or you and I were talking, I think off air at one point, Nick, and you had mentioned something about Jerry not being his biggest fan either. So, it's kind of come full circle. It doesn't surprise me. And maybe he left with some really bad feelings about the ball club. And why not leak a couple things if you don't like, there's no skin off his back if you, burn that bridge, because he's not coming back here anyway. So, yeah. No, not surprising.
And he's really not lighting the world on fire in Arizona
No.
either. Just
No.
disgruntled all the way around. So who knows if it's true, but very interesting that Liam Hendriks brought that up. And stay tuned on that. I'm curious to see if anybody else kind of speak up and kind of back up what Hendriks had said. Sox were without, of course, Luis Robert once again, all of Saturday, all of Sunday, but that did not stop the offense in the series finale. More on that in a moment. At BlueNile.com, you can celebrate all of life's special moments, from creating the custom engagement ring of her dreams to gifting a classic and timeless jewelry piece, all at prices you won't find at a traditional jeweler. Whether you're ready to pop the question or you're celebrating a milestone moment, find jewelry as unique as her with the modern convenience of online shopping at BlueNile.com. Blue Nile has simple online tools that will let you choose the diamond shape, size, and clarity, as well as the setting style. Blue Nile's bench jewelers will then handcraft your perfect engagement ring. Each ring is one of a kind. Make your moment sparkle with jewelry from BlueNile.com. And Locked On Sports listeners get $50 off purchases of $500 or more. This podcast exclusive includes engagement. Use code Locked On. That's code Locked On. Plus, every order is insured, ships free, and arrives in discreet packaging that won't give away what's inside. Shop stress-free and find your forever piece. Go to BlueNile.com today. Which NFL stars move the betting line the most? Starting July 18th, Locked On gives you the 50 most valuable players in the NFL from the odds makers at BetOnline. Available July 18th on Locked On NFL, wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube. So the Sox wrapped up the series, just spanking the Twins 11-0, piled it on. Final line, 11 runs, 16 hits, 4 walks. They struck out 10 times, 7 extra base hits, and this is without Luis Robert. Vaughn, 3 for 4, with a triple short of the cycle. And here's a fun stat here, Pat. Andrew Vaughn is the first White Sox player with multiple RBIs in each game of a 4-game series since Frank Thomas back in 1997. The stuff that Andrew Vaughn is doing in his second year is pretty amazing.
Yeah, no doubt about it, Nick. And he's fun to watch. He just looks, locked in terms of when he's in the batter's box. He's got a great plan. He's got a great approach. I just love watching his balance. I mean, I'm no hitting doctor by any means, but he just looks like has the ability to hit just about any pitch. And to think about him doing it with these tired legs they keep talking about, it means he's got something going on in his lower half. There's a strain, there's a pull, there's something that he's been playing through. I think that's why he hasn't hit even more home runs, because he even talked about it on the post-game show today, I believe, with Len Casper. And he said, I'm not really a home run hitter. I'm more of a line drives hitter that sometimes hits the ball of the ballpark. And I think, he's going to continue to hit line drives, and more will go out as his legs hopefully get healthier and healthier during this break. I know it's not going to do a ton for him, but, if he's got some strong legs, man, he's going to hit a lot of home runs.
Yeah, going back to the guy he's compared to in this stat, Frank Thomas. I mean, Frank Thomas was a line drives guy for a little while when he first came up, and then he started. I mean, then the ball started elevating, and then he became a halfway up the bleachers type of guy. And I mean, what we've seen from Andrew Vaughn is pretty consistent this year. Aside from some issues when he has been dinged up and he's had some health stuff, he dipped down a little bit, and that happens. There'll be lulls, but I'm just so impressed with his ability to kind of figure out big league pitching, what they were trying to do to him, and how he has readjusted this season. And he's done it in clutch situations. I mean, he came up big for the Sox today. Tim Anderson got things started in the fifth, and Andrew Vaughn continued it. They got help from every starter except for Gavin Sheets, who did not have a hit. Moncada as well, Pat, with a double and a home run. Getting Moncada going right. I mean, we've used this term before in other seasons. It would be like getting almost a guy at the deadline, right?
Mm-hmm.
If we got Moncada back to form, I'm thinking that I don't know if he's going to return from a couple of years ago, from when he had just a crazy year, but he's looked good recently, and I don't know what's happening with Robert. Nobody knows, but boy, if he's a difference maker. I mean, Carter really is.
Yeah, no doubt about it, because you see the skill at third base, right? You see the instinct take over. He's very smooth. Obviously, he's our best option in terms of a third baseman and playing the position. So his value is seen, not just offensively but defensively. And then when you see him do things like he did today, and he shows off the power. I mean, the home run he hit was a mammoth shot, home run to center field into their, halfway up the batter's eye, if you will. So he can be a variable that a lot of Sox fans have kind of counted out. I mean, and maybe rightfully so. He hasn't really produced and like we had hoped, but if he can return back to that 2019 form that we saw, and also provide the power, because we've been, starved for left-handed power for so long, he can provide that left-handed power bat that we've so coveted. I don't know how many home runs he'll end up with, Nick, but if he continues to swing the bat like he is now, he's going to hit a lot during the second half. I don't think it'll be a lot, in terms of maybe his potential for a full year that we've been talked about, maybe the 20 to 25 home run type of guy. But I see some stuff happening in bunches for him in the second half. Again, everything always hinges on the health, Nick, and we know that things, as the Sox world turns, right, every other day it's somebody with something going on. But let's cross our fingers and hope that we get the best version of Yoan Moncada that there is out there.
Speaking of health, a guy that you and I have talked about over the years, if he could just stay healthy, he would be a great option in the outfield almost every day, is Adam Engel. And he again has had issues this season, not as many perhaps as in previous years, but he's gotten some recent consistent playing time with, Aloy not playing, and Pollock kind of getting some time off here and there. Adam Engel had a huge game on Friday after Luis Robert was scratched. Engel had a huge home run, and boy, he was 3 for 5 in this Sunday game, and really, made an outstanding catch in center. His defense has never been questioned. It's been the offense. Can he consistently get it going? And I don't know. Again, who's to say what's going to happen with Aloy or Robert? But what a great option to have, Adam Engel.
Well, he's a guy that you have to have, Nick. He's just one of those, brick and mortar type of guys. He's never going to be a superstar in this league. He's never going to be, leading in any kind of offensive categories. But you have to have guys that you can rely on to come in and fill a role and play defense. He's a Gold Glove caliber outfielder. Let's be honest, right, Nick? And he's great option to have out there. And when you have him come in for Robert, you're not missing anything in terms of defense. Obviously, you lose a lot in terms of offensive ability, but it's not like he is, an Achilles heel for us in the lineup. He can still do some damage. We saw it today. He can be a good hitter, and he's proven that. And you and I have talked about it a lot, Nick, is like, when we're talking about what are we going to do with right field all year after year after year, and we've always brought up Engel. Why not see what Engel can do? Why don't we see what Engel can do? Maybe he's just not your regular everyday outfielder, but you have to have guys like that, guys that can come in and regardless of his base running gaff a couple games ago with the triple play, normally a very good base runner, he's going to steal bases for you. So if you get a guy, if he gets on in late innings and you need a stolen base, he can steal a base for you. That's valuable stuff, Nick.
Yeah. It's always just been a shame he hasn't been a left-handed bat. I think that's why he doesn't get the look from our organization, but good to have him swinging well. And hopefully he can continue to stay healthy because I think we're going to need him. Dylan Cease seems healthy. He set a record on Sunday, but is still not an all-star. More on that in a moment. BetOnline.net is your number one source for all your betting needs and sports info. Find all the latest sports developments, league reviews, and news, including all, of course, Major League Baseball. BetOnline is your continued source for all your sporting wagering information, including live betting, esports, and scores. And BetOnline.net remains the best spot for all your sports scores, podcasts, and news this season. BetOnline.net is the fastest and easiest way to check in on all your favorite sports and events, including MMA, boxing, and golf. Head to the website today or use your mobile device to learn more about the trends in action. BetOnline, where the game starts. Dylan Cease was just magnificent on Sunday. What a way to end I guess the first half, even though it's technically not completely in the middle, but we kind of gauge it as the first half. 7 innings, 1 hit, 0 earned runs, a couple of walks, 8 strikeouts. His ERA sits at 2.15. He threw 94 pitches. Cease, the fastest pitcher in White Sox history to 500 career strikeouts, surpassing Chris Sale. I mean, shocked that with what he's been doing, Pat, or did you anticipate this?
Well, Nick, there was a lot of hype and a lot of talk, before the season started. We talked about, him changing representation and how it was a prove it year. And he's really kind of betting on himself, and he's going to make himself a lot of money if he continues to pitch like this. And my goodness gracious, what a great first half for Dylan Cease. We knew he had the talent, but we've heard a lot recently on broadcast, both on radio and on TV, that he's in command of everything right now. He's in command. His presence, his mound presence is off the charts right now. He looks so confident out there, and nothing really rattles him. It just doesn't seem like he gets rattled. It seemed like in years past, Nick, he could get rattled very easily. You get to that, second time or especially the third time through a lineup, he became very predictable and he got rattled, and he's thrown 100 pitches in 4 1/3, right? Now look at him. He goes today. What did we say? 7 innings and 7 1/3 today, 95 pitches. Yeah. I was listening in the car on the radio today, and I kept thinking, well, how long are they going to let him go? I know his pitch count is low, but at that one point he was sitting on the bench a long time. What was the use in bringing him back out? I was glad to see him come back out and continue to pitch, and he just was dominant today, and dominant in a way of efficiency. And I think the Twins had a game plan of we're going to go up there and attack because we can't wait. If we get to 2 strikes, we got no chance. So we're going to swing early in counts and hope that we can get to the guy. And it ultimately did not work for them very well, but it led to Dylan being very efficient today.
Yeah, Dylan's Cease in his last 10 starts, 5-2, 58 innings, 3 earned runs, and his ERA is 0.47. Not an all-star, huh? Not worthy to head out to Los Angeles. There have been folks that are saying, no, I am not going to be going to Los Angeles. I can't make it for a variety of different reasons. And Dylan Cease's name has not been mentioned. We know that Liam Hendriks is going, and congrats to Liam Hendriks. But Dylan Cease still not named, as we record right now, not named to the AL All-Star team. And It just, I mean, to me, it just shows you what kind of ridiculous, voting process it is. And, maybe he's going to use this as a chip heading into the second half of the season. But I'm kind of okay that he's not going to go to LA. Let that
Yeah.
be motivation.
Yeah. And he's not pitching anyway, obviously, because he pitched today. So if he went out there to be for his experience to get in the American League dugout, to spend time with other all-stars, people that are, the top of the game, and experience all the pomp and circumstance that is an all-star weekend or all-star week, whatever you want to call it. And that's fine. That would have been a great experience for a young guy to do that and experience that. But ultimately it would have been, walk out to the foul line, tip your cap to the crowd, show off your mustache, and that would have been about it, right?
Yeah.
So yes, did he get snubbed? 100%. Yes, he got snubbed. He wasn't going to pitch anyway, and I'm glad he's not, because we as White Sox fans, we hold our breath with every game anyway, praying that nobody gets hurt. So a game that doesn't count for anything, there's no reason to have him go out there and expose himself to injury. So get the rest, enjoy the weekend away, or the whatever we want to call it, a couple days away from the game, and play some frolf. I know he likes to do some frisbee golf.
He
Do
sure
that,
does. Yeah.
and enjoy your time. But there are the other all-star games, and there's bigger fish to fry in terms of this season, Nick.
Yeah, I think there's going to be, I think, a lot of all-star appearances perhaps in his future once he gets on people's radar, maybe a little bit more, and performs in the big stage. I don't know what it is. Sure, he deserves it, and it's a shame it won't go on his, resume and all that good stuff. I think there are bigger things to come, but use it as motivation. Fine, okay. You got snubbed. Have that chip on your shoulder. Throughout the second half. It sure seemed like he was pitching angry on Sunday, which is great. Great for us.
And his stuff continues to be unbelievable and unhittable at times. It's just it's a joy to watch him.
Yeah. Pat, my friend, it is a joy to talk White Sox with you. I really appreciate you coming on to Locked On White Sox.
Nick, you know how to get a hold of me anytime. I'd love to jump on your great show and talk White Sox baseball with you, my friend.
Pat Hester is my co-host on the weekly Chicago White Sox podcast, Good Guys Talk Back. You can find him on Twitter at Pat Hester 21. Thank you so much, sir.
Cheers, my friend.
Folks, thank you so much for making this podcast part of your daily routine. You can find the Locked On White Sox podcast absolutely everywhere you find your podcasts. We are on Twitter and Instagram at Locked On Sox. You can find me on Twitter at Nick_GGTB. Thanks for making Locked On White Sox your first listen. Now make your second listen Locked On MLB Prospects. Host Lindsey Crosby is a prospect encyclopedia, and he's going deep on the MLB stars of tomorrow. It's free and available wherever you get your podcast. Coming up on the next episode, I'll recap what the White Sox have done in the draft so far and take a closer look at the first half of the season. Really appreciate you making time for the Locked On White Sox podcast. I'm Nick Morawski. Until next time, go Sox.